One of my very nice. But let's get to the heart of the matter here. Nuance and permission slips. So what is this idea? The whole purpose of this is to cause actual behavior change. Like, I don't want you to watch more videos, whether they're mine or somebody else. I want you to get in the kitchen and start cooking. I want you to get in the gym and start training, or in your house or whatever, you know what I mean. But my point is, the goal is not to give you more content. The goal is to talk about things in a way that allow you to change your behavior, and that you get the tools so that as you go forward in your life, you can modify behavior to adjust to what you want. Okay. So yesterday we talked about studies and how, I've never looked at a study ever in my life. And I've accomplished some pretty cool things. I talk about it on here, not to brag, but to show, because you want to get your information from somebody who wasn't always, having a six-pack from the age of 15 and has never, it's like a 24-year-old and, doesn't have kids or whatever. You don't want information from that guy or girl. I'm not saying it's not valuable, but you want information from somebody like myself who did not. You would never ever say, "Oh, you're in great shape, man." Like, skinny fat, injured, all of the stuff. And so, anyways, that's where you want to get your information from. And so the reason I was pointing that out is, like, I never looked at studies. I've done three things, and the point that I want to make is not because studies are not evil, researchers are not evil, scientists are not bad. They're good, right? But we don't need to depend on them, because the few things that we need to do will never change. It's going to be eat less food, train, right, to get strong and get winded on purpose, and then get peaceful, right? Because that affects your physiology. Now, that is all true. Now, at the same time, I happened to see yesterday a video by Dr. Rhonda Patrick where she was talking about breaking news, new studies. And I'm poking fun at it a little bit, but this is where the nuance and the context comes in, right? Critical thinking. So she was talking about these new findings that they're having that show that you can that vigorous exercise is more effective than any drug they have for cardiovascular disease. Okay, so depression, so more effective than SSRIs. Diabetes, cholesterol, so all of these things. And one of the main lines of thinking, right, that they were focusing on was the fact that when you do vigorous exercise, the glucose in your blood, the sugar in your blood, gets pulled from your blood into your muscles, because there is a demand being placed on them. Now, if you've been around long enough here, or you've seen my other stuff somewhere else or whatever, this is not something new. Why would the sugar, the glucose in your blood, if there's no demand for it, it's gonna float around in your blood. If it is not taken out of your blood, then that causes stiffening of blood vessels. So this was all stuff. And so, but we've the burrito monster. We don't need the science to tell us that, hey, exercise is very good for you. getting your heart rate up and doing some vigorous exercise is very good for you, okay? And I personally have helped, so many clients since 2013 reverse all of these conditions, right? But my point being, here's where we talk about the permission slip. All right, if you see Dr. Rhonda Patrick talking about this one habit that is more powerful than any drug for all these diseases, and you watch that video and you realize that, and she gave some practical tactics, so I was very impressed with that as well, because usually they don't give not Dr. Rhonda Patrick, but a lot of people don't cite studies and stuff, and they won't give you any practical takeaways. So it's like, oh, more information, how do I implement? But so if you saw this video and you were like, oh, she said vigorous exercise, okay, cool, place a demand on the body, cool. And then she gave the example. She's like, 10 air squats, which takes about 5 seconds. 10 air squats every hour or so for for about 8 hours, which is nothing, right? We grab our phone for way more than 10 seconds every hour. Will have a massive impact on those conditions. One spin class every 48 hours will have a massive impact on all of those illnesses and conditions. So now, if you hear it from Dr. Rhonda Patrick, this is the purpose of this conversation today. It's not to talk about any of that. It's to talk about permission slips. If you see something and it gives you the permission to then go ahead to do this exercise, that's wonderful. That's great. That is why I'm always saying we're not trying to be at war. We're not trying to be right. We're not trying to, prove other people wrong. All we care about is, what do I want, honoring that desire, and then figuring out, what do I need to do to close the gap? Okay? And that requires a very even keel, observational perspective on the world and all the things, because then you can take what's useful and leave what's not. A lot of the scientists, they get into the weeds way too deep, to the point where it's like, none of this is practical. Like, who's going to be taking 100 supplements and doing 3 hours of all these different therapies? Nobody. So it's not practical, so it's not real. It doesn't make sense. But the point with all this is a practical takeaway. Is very simple. And so if this gave you that permission slip, let's run with it. Okay? And by the way, this permission slip idea, I believe I got that from Bashar. I know he talks about it all the time, but so I want to try to remember and give credit to that. But it's the same idea. It's like, if and there's lots of versions of permission slips, right? So, for example, like we talked recently about, you don't need any fancy thing to work out. You literally need nothing. But let's say you buying a nice squat rack for your house, some new kettlebells, some new workout clothes, right? If that gives you that, if that's the permission slip that allows you to then get into the gym and start working out, cool. Let's do it. Judge that close the gap. So, yeah, I just wanted to circle back on this whole scientific studies and research and stuff thing, because I wanted to round out my actual thought process on this. If it is good in the sense that validating the things that people like myself have been noticing and observing very long time. Like, cool, vigorous exercise is good for you. What does all that mean? You know, get your heart rate up on purpose, lift weights, get strong. Like, that's gonna have the biggest impact on your health more than anything else, right? And I won't go into this rant, but we're constantly validating the limitations that we have, and you're reinforcing those. So when you see, so this is another way to use these like studies, if you're actually going to use them, is like, why not validate something that's actually good for you? So for me, I'm like, that's more validation to the stuff that I'm saying. So this is not these studies and all this stuff. My main opinion is still, I don't need studies to tell me that I need to get strong, get winded, get lean. But if it can give more weight, unintended, more credibility to what I'm saying, then that's great. But we don't need to wait around for it. So anyways, I just wanted to round that out, that whole thought process. Because, again, the main thing, like, guys, we're not trying to make teams, all right? We're just a independent group of people who are obsessed with a singular goal, and we will do what is necessary to get there in the most enjoyable and peaceful way. And so anyways, that's the rant for this morning. As always, if you have questions, find me on Instagram or leave a message in the comments, or leave a comment in the comments. But yeah, if you message me on Instagram, you know, if you're in San Jose, I got a couple new spots opened up for in-person training, or if you want help online, we've been doing that been online coaching since 2016. So we've been doing that for a very long time. But yeah, 10,000 swing challenge is still going on strong. It's only 5 days in, so we got a long month to go. But if you want to hop in that's also available still. But you know, it's a very small community, and we'll see. My intention is to keep it small. We do a different challenge or focus every month, but they're all based around the same 3 things. All right, nutrition, training, and getting our steps, our cardiovascular health up. So that's it. I hope you have a great day. See you in the next one.